Hi, everybody, and welcome to In the Vine season 5, episode 8. It is good to be here. I'm a little nervous because, yes, special guest right here, but we have Ramsey.
I am the special
Hold
guest.
up.
And then we just found this guy,
I was outside.
He was outside.
Yeah, Ramsey is here because of Irvin. That's
okay.
why, yeah. No, but I'm extremely nervous to actually be doing this with you right now because you guys know Ramsey. You know, he started out with us. He helped us out. And so to have homeboy here is a little bit intimidating, not gonna lie.
You're in front of the camera this time.
Yeah, I usually am behind the camera when I was helping you guys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There was those times though where people heard your voice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ramsey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a little nervous, so bear with me, you guys. It's gonna be good. But here with me today I have Shekinah, and of course
Ramsey.
And
Irvin.
And we are Shada Brown.
Yeah, and Shada Brown podcast, Shada Brown Pod on YouTube. All right. Let's run it back. So if you guys know, we recently did an episode with them back in like a month or two ago? It's been a minute. December, because we were wearing Christmas sweaters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I regret not taking another picture, by the way. Taking that one picture, I'm like, Melissa Chavez.
We asked.
You did. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, so they're here. And so now we invited them over to our neck of the woods. I'm a little sad that Yesenia and Denise couldn't be here, but we already said it, but I don't know if you guys know, but Denise is pregnant. So she's doing the whole family thing. And yes, he just had a newborn. Or not just had, but she has a newborn. So it's just Shekinah and I. So
Family matters.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah.
So with that, we're excited to have you guys. How are you guys doing?
Good. Just another day at work, and just thank you for the invitation. You know, it was a good conversation last time we were at the studio. So, just happy to be here.
Good.
Yeah, just came straight here right after work. Just it's been good. Live and kicking. So yeah.
How's the podcast going?
Good.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
We just surpassed 500 subscribers.
Dude, come on.
Yeah.
Are they bots?
I don't know about them all.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I was telling Irvin, it was like a few days ago, like every few days we get like one subscriber.
Dude,
nice.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
it's that magic mind for sure.
It's just simple. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've told you ladies when I was helping you guys. It's just the consistency, keep pushing, and people see that.
Yeah,
and that's what it's all about, really.
Yeah. Do you guys ever go off, or do you do like a episode a week all the time?
We used to do every week.
Okay.
But now it's every other week.
Okay.
Yeah, because Irving has his business. I have my thing with my wife, and I just don't want to put it as like a too much on us because we got our lives too. Right? You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's why we do every other week now.
Yeah. Okay. I'm pretty sure if we ever receive more income,
where
it becomes a priority, okay, it makes sense now to like invest more time in it. But right now it's I'm like, all right, let's just grow it the way that we can where we're not conflicting anything, as far as like our social lives or, personal lives either.
Yeah.
Good. I see that you guys have been having like a huge variety of guests on the episodes. I'm like, there's like no theme here. What's going on?
We've had probably 60 plus guests.
That's crazy. How do you determine like, okay, this is somebody I want on the show?
In the beginning, it was me reaching out. I'll just think like, oh, this guy seems cool, like a good person to talk to, like overall good person. Mm-hmm. And then later on, it would just be like, we'll get DMs, hey, can I be on your podcast? Especially local businesses or something local. Because we, over here, like us, Shada Brown, I don't know if you guys know, but we tend to shoot for the AV. You know, like we prioritize anyone from the AV, whoever wants to be on, who owns a business. You do something really cool, then we're going to be down for you, like that. So it's just, after a while, keep getting DMs, like that. So it's kind of hard sometimes now because there's people asking to be on, and I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna be until like another 2 months, bro. You know, sorry.
Wow, dang.
Yeah.
Wow, popular. Yeah, it's funny because for me, I'm like super overprotective. And so when people ask me if they can be on the show, I'm like, no. Like, that's just my
But
MO.
why are you saying that though? Like, no.
No, mainly maybe it's because the type of person that has been asking. So, for example,
and our podcast focus very specifically on a singular topic.
And that's understandable.
And like I think Shade of Brown Pod, you guys have that. Like you guys are willing to just like let's talk about whatever's going on.
I
like
think
exposure
in the beginning when they first started, because I'm a newbie as far as like the Shade of Brown. They were more catered to the Hispanic actual topic. And then they had actual categories. Then I came in and they kind of, because everyone's going to have their own way of, you know, going about a conversation, I'm going to be more like, I want to ask questions and, you know, I want to get to know the person. So it's a little bit different as far as like, it's no longer based just on Hispanic topics.
Great. So I can join you all now.
You could be our young Jamie.
It's just different waves that happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's not always going to be one thing. You know, there's seasons. Like kind of like you guys are what, season 5?
Season 5.
So there's seasons, right? So like it's not always going to be the same. Everything. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think that's part of the journey.
Yeah, that's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
Shoot, I had a follow-up question. What was it?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
Are you nervous because you're scared? Or are you nervous because you care?
Oh, okay. Damn. This is why he's part of the podcast.
Send him back.
I remember everything, bro. If you say something, I don't remember.
Therapy is in session. Let's
go. Well, it all started when because I care. I think there's like honor in it, right? Because one thing that we always that we're big on is like giving honor where honor is due. And so having you guys here, it's not like, one, we don't invite anybody just cause. And 2, just honor.
Are you nervous as far as like
okay?
Are you nervous because you're still getting into the rhythm of the pod, or is this a thing that normally goes and processes with every episode?
Oh, the rhythm.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure, the rhythm.
Okay.
Yeah, because earlier on we were just laughing up a storm.
Yeah, that's all we did was laugh for Ramsey.
Because Rams could wait outside, you know, he could be in the car.
You guys want to get deep? Want me to leave?
We'll see how this goes. Okay. So with that being said, so make sure you check out their podcast. We'll make sure that we link it and all that good stuff. We're not responsible for the things that they say. We're
I'll try to be good.
PG-13, sometimes rated R.
Okay, so you've been warned. But anyway, so with that, we have this custom that we do in our episodes, and that is asking a panel question. Last time, what was one of the questions that we just asked? Oh, if you're not official yet, should you follow each other on social media? What do you guys think?
If you're not official yet, follow. Irvin, take it away.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Okay. You know, the idea of just following, it could just be just another way of getting to know each other without the commitment, as far as like, we're not in an actual committed relationship where there's no title, but I could still be a friend, you know, as far as like on social media. And social media isn't real anyways, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I had a dissenting opinion. What about you?
I don't see nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to even talk about this because now, like, I'm not dating. Like, I mean, yes, I date my wife, of course, but
good
like,
answer. Saved yourself on that one. Wow.
But like, I'm married, but like to talk about that, I'm like, it's like coming from a different perspective, right?
Yeah.
I would say, I think it's okay. I think it is because if you want to get to know the person, if you genuinely like this person, then because me and my wife followed each other before we were official.
And then you're actually understanding what their daily habits are, because everybody's posting everything online anyways. So if I'm actually noticing her posting things that it's not aligned with me, it's almost a giveaway for me to say, hey, I'm not going to commit with full force, you know, because I'm noticing these little habits that aren't basically aligning with what I want, you know. So I think if you're going into the intention of not falling into the facade or not following into the idea of the person that's who they are, because we're just highlighting everything online, then you should be fine. But if you're just going to be a creeper and you don't have self-control, then I would say just don't do it.
Fair enough. All right. Well, you have to tune into the episode to see what we think. Okay. Good answers.
What do you guys think? What about a female's perspective?
Well, we gave our answer. Mine was...
our answers were very, very different.
Yeah, they were very different. For me, it was... There's pros and cons, right? There's pros and cons. The con being that you get to see like their day-to-day. But for me, is because when you post on social media, you're presenting yourself, right, in a certain kind of way. And so to me, I think it would be good to like protect that, because if you're in your early stages of dating, then that's going to be your idea of the person. But the more that you communicate with them, like in the background, I think it builds like a better wholesome picture. And then now when they post things, it's like, it doesn't move you. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. 100%. Yeah.
So it just goes back to what you answered. Essentially, you have to know where you're at. If you're going to be blinded by the facade, and that's what the person you're going to see is going to navigate how you interact with them on a private basis, then probably not. Just be wise about that. You have to know where you're at.
Yeah.
But my answer for me personally, I mean, I meet someone at the grocery store and I'm like, what's your Instagram?
I feel so lame. So lame when I exchange Instagrams with people. I'm like, bro, like, am I 13 or what?
Oh, no, I'm all about
I think it's just the easier way not to ask for that number, because the number is technically, it's like, you're now in a position. I'm like, okay, you have my personal, and then, social media, I could block you at any time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you just have to know where you're at. Like, it just as just don't fall for the facade. And like what people are posting is not their real life. It's only the good things. It's only the highlighted things. But if you're disciplined enough to get to know them organically beyond that, then I think it's fine. But if you're not, and you do kind of fall for that facade, and you do kind of get blinded by that, then just be disciplined enough to go, you know what, maybe I won't follow you, and I'll just get a chance to get to know you in person.
Could I ask you a follow-up question as far as what you said?
Go for it. You don't have to ask. Go ahead.
You had mentioned that when you get someone's social media, like at the grocery store, are you actually doing it, or did you just say it just like for the conversation? Have you done that before?
I have, yes.
And is it easier to ask for the social media rather than the number because you're a girl, or because it's just the idea that
it protects me a little bit. Like, okay. I'm a pretty social person, so I'm not even talking about like male, female. I'm just talking about like, you're a cool grocer. Like,
okay. But I'm talking about relationship.
But relationship, it just depends on if I'm comfortable with you. If it's like a first time interaction, I tend to just exchange social medias because that's a little bit safer, I feel like. But it takes me a while before I actually will give a man my phone number, and I typically exchange social medias before, because again, and same thing, it helps me kind of see what are they posting, and again, I know that there's that facade and they're only posting the highlights, but also if like you're posting some things that I would consider inappropriate, that gives me an automatic indication that, okay, this is not somebody, exactly, that I would want to pursue. So definitely social medias to start off with.
Okay.
Good. Well, that was just a follow-up from our last question. But the actual question, let me actually pull it up. Do you have it, Shakay? Because I just realized.
What are you looking for?
My question for them.
Panel question. It's 2025. Is it really weird for a woman to propose?
Nowadays, I've heard about that.
Dude.
Yeah, the woman proposing. I know someone very close to me that his girlfriend proposed to him, but he said no.
Oof. Can we ask questions about that? Too close to home?
Maybe, because this person's really close to me.
Okay.
But I've seen it. That's what I'm saying. Like I've seen it happen, and I'm like, well, but it wasn't the first time. I've seen it before. I don't know. I think it's getting normal. I don't want to say it's totally normal now, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
You get me?
I can see that.
Yeah.
Sheesh. What do you think?
Thoughts of, have I noticed it, or thoughts do I normalized it?
Do you think it's normal? Like, it's 2025, modern times?
At the end of the day, anybody could do whatever they want as far as like if you're a human on earth. But me as me, would I accept it? No. Or do I accept it? I don't know. I think it's kind of weird. I think at the end of the day, you have to follow, the guy, and you're putting your position and you're giving the title if you're the woman, if you're proposing, because you're initiating, hey, I'm willing to do this. Yeah. He should do that for you.
Yeah, because then I have that image in my head where the woman kneeling down.
Yeah.
And the guy's like,
Yeah.
That doesn't look right.
Yeah. But once again, it's an opinion though. Like if there's someone out there that wants to do that and she's a girl, have at it. Like I honestly don't care, but don't do it to me.
It's very weird. I don't know that I could ever get used to that imagery. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Shaquina?
No, I agree. It's funny because we're in this age where it's like women independent. Yeah, like you can do whatever a man can do, Yeah. But we're in the Vine. We teach very traditional relationships.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's that area from the women's perspective. I'm like, yeah, girl, go do it. And then I'm looking from the man's perspective. I'm like, that is so emasculating. Yeah. Would you really want to marry a man that hasn't popped the question and isn't willing to put out, to put himself in that position first? So for me personally, negative, wouldn't do it. I would want to marry someone who's willing to take the lead and, do that himself.
I'll take that question even deeper because it shows a lot about the guy.
Yeah.
Because if you're together for that long and you really love each other for that deep, I'm like, my guy, how come you haven't done it yet?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But nowadays, this is a whole different question. It's 2025. Now, not really people are getting married. People are just living together. They have a whole freaking family together and no engagement, no marriage like that. And I have friends like that, like they're living like that. And come on, what's stopping you? What's stopping you? You have a house, you have cars, you have a kid. Come on, take the step.
And going even deeper than that. Is it necessary to even get married when it comes to the legal base, or is it just is it okay for you guys to say I'm willing to just get married via the church?
Oh,
that's a very big question.
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
Is it just bringing God into it or the law?
Yeah.
Take it away, Shaquina.
No, honestly, that's something that when I was married, that was actually the question was, do we involve the government in our relationship, or are we just married before God? But at the end of the day, the scripture do say follow the laws of the land. And you are submitting under the governmental rule and the leadership of our land. So even in that, if you want to line up with scripture, then biblically, you don't just get married under the church, you get married under the legal status of where you're living. And so, yes, I would agree that if you're going to get married, the commitment matters, both legally and biblically. So yeah, that was a big question that even my ex posed to me, and he was just like, "Do we really have to involve the law?" And I was like,
"I can see that."
Yes.
But now that you mentioned the scripture, solid point.
Yeah. And so that was something that that was taught to us even in our counseling sessions of like, this is why it matters, and it's submitting again to because God talks about highly about the governments, kings of that time, now translated to our president. Of just submitting yourself under that rule, and if that's the requirements, then that's the requirements, and it's about showing honor and respect to your leaders.
Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah, I actually have never thought about that because to me it just went one and the same.
Yeah.
Since it's just been part of like the process and the ceremony, I've never thought about separating it. But sure, ditto what she said. But ultimately, right, it is. The most important thing is presenting it to God. And I think in following the law is also honoring God, right?
Yeah.
So,
and the only reason I bring it up because he had mentioned how most people aren't wanting to get married anymore. And I would say
that's a really common excuse that people use now.
Interesting.
Well, I wouldn't even say that it's an excuse. It's just the idea that the law hasn't updated to modern times. Men are kind of going on the idea. I'm like, hey, if I'm going to put my finances, like literally put it in this marriage, and if we get divorced, am I gonna lose half of it because the law says so, even though you're working and you're saving up your money just as much as me, like, and you get I don't know, child support while I'm like, now I have to wait until they're 18 or you get married.
Well, and that's such a broken mindset to enter into a marriage with, you know, and right there, if you're already entering into a marriage with, what if this doesn't work out and you end up taking half my money? Well, is this someone you really want to be marrying if you're entering into a marriage with that mindset?
I think it's
not
just
saying you shouldn't be prepared,
I think it's just precaution though.
Yeah.
For me, I would love to get married via the church, but I would definitely have a conversation with my future wife about the actual laws, you know, like I know it took me this long to make my actual little empire, and I see that you're coming in, everything that we have right now, it's we right now, but let's say circumstances do happen, love doesn't last sometimes for whatever reason. I need to take those precautions in place. If you want to get legally married, are you okay with the prenup? So that's my second question.
Okay.
Ooh, prenup. We getting controversial right now.
For real.
Because like you said, if I'm going
to put this all on me.
You guys invite.
You're gonna put this all on me.
You guys invited us.
I know. Like whose podcast is this?
I said, I'm gonna be honest with you. If a man wants a prenup, I'm looking at this as a very broken person, a very fearful person, and that's not someone I want to be married to. I'm divorced.
Shekinah with the comeback.
I'm gonna be honest. You know, I'm divorced, right? And so like I went in with the mindset of like, this is gonna be forever. Of course, you know, like I went into that mindset
as it should.
And that's how it was, and it didn't work out. You know, but my mind still hasn't shifted. I'm still going in with a healthy mindset of when I get married, I'm going in fully trusting this person. And something that we talk about on this podcast a lot, something I've been taught even by my own father is. By my own father, I can talk, is trust until they prove they can't be trusted. Because if you go into a relationship and you're not able to trust this person because your own fears, your own, past experiences, well, then you're just putting that on that person that doesn't deserve it, you know? And so, yes, trust needs to be built, trust needs to be developed. But if you initially go in with this, you know, how are you going to screw me over? Your relationship isn't going to work. So me personally, I'm telling you, if he wants a prenup, he clearly doesn't trust me. There's a lot of fears. There's a lot of brokenness that's happened in his past that he hasn't gone over. And I'm not against a prenup. If that's for somebody else, it's fine. I personally would be like, there's something going on deeper level here that I might not want to partner up with.
Well, going back to the legal stuff. I'm down to get married in the church, but when it comes to the laws and they're not updated, I'm trying to prevent or if not update it myself within the law of the land, because you had mentioned
and I think what you're getting at and what I'm understanding is that you're protecting yourself from the governmental influence, not from your spouse.
Exactly.
And that I can understand.
Because it's not that it's not that we're going into a form of insecurity, and I don't think prenups are for everybody. If you're making around $85,000 or under, I don't even think you should even think about it. You know, it's one of those things, like if you're making a little bit over 6 figures or 7 figures, I'm like, okay, you have assets, you know, you have to protect them because you just never know, you know, like I have an LLC for a reason, you know, it's insurance, you know, I'm not insecure that my business is going under, or someone's going to sue me and they're going to take my personal assets. I have to set certain things in place just in case things happen.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Dang, good, very two good, very good.
I know,
points.
right? Ramsey, you want to go get coffee? You want to just go get some snacks?
Let's do this, man. Let's talk.
No, it's all very interesting because, taking a step back and seeing, and I think just seeing the pattern and the kind of men that I've seen that are so like anti-government, but rebelling for the sake of rebelling, and that, you know, using the example as you were saying, where people have families and they just don't have that kind of commitment. It usually is kind of like contradictory to me, right? Because people are like, oh, you know, it's just me before God, but at the same time, like, you're having sexual relationships out of a covenant. So to me, it's just like, all right, well, you're double-minded in this way and your behavior isn't matching with what you think your philosophy is. And so to me, it's just like, all right, well, follow it all the way through. Like if you're really trying to honor God, then honor him by taking this woman as your wife, right? But as far as like the legalities of it and all that jazz, like I know for me, it just doesn't feel right. Like if somebody were to ask me like, hey, for a prenup, like I for sure would have the same reaction, which is like, all right, well, you don't trust me. And I think anything can happen, right? And we're talking about it as far as like the realm of finances, but would it be considered the same like with health, right? Like let's say you're both starting off health, you're both like healthy, you're awesome, right? Both of you guys are bodybuilders, like you're meal prepping all the time, and all of a sudden this person decides they don't want to do that anymore. So then does that annul the agreement? It shouldn't, right? So then anything can happen. People can have heart attacks. They can have, I don't know, brain hemorrhages. And, but you're still with that person, right? Yeah. The covenant is for life through sickness and health. And so if it's that when you're able to commit with that, like why not just give everything of yourself? You know what I mean? But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
As far as like protecting your assets and stuff. But I guess, I don't know.
I think that's just the world we live in now.
Yeah.
You know, like
gold diggers are a thing. Like,
they are.
I ain't saying she a gold digger. But shame it, no. But let me ask a question too. Like, how would you feel, let's say for that couple where they're living together, they have a kid, they have a house and all that, but there's no engagement, there's no marriage yet. But then they get to the point where like, we might as well. Isn't that kind of bad thinking of it like that?
I mean,
you know?
Yeah,
I'm like, well, don't say that.
I'll be honest, on the opposite side, when I get invited to the wedding, I'm just like, what are we celebrating?
Yeah, like you've been together for like years.
No offense, but what are we celebrating here? Like,
like they say, you got it all already, but you want your man to be like, I'm in love with you, let's get married. And I'm not doing this just because we have all this. It's not a might as well thing. You know what I mean? I think, I don't know if you guys have like a take on that. Like, if there's someone out there, like how would a woman feel about that?
Where it's just like, I might as well, like
might as well
in
mentality.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, that one's tough because I actually have seen that. I have seen that where it's turned into like, all right, well, we're stuck. Nobody else wants me at this point, you know? Like I'm giving you my best years. And at that point, we just filmed an episode where we talked about like reigniting the spark in a relationship.
There you go.
And so it comes down to intentionality, right? Like, it's the reason why arranged marriages work sometimes, right? It's because it's not that they're in love, it's not that there's a spark there, it's because they're committed to one another. And sometimes the commitment is enough in order for them to be able to find the light, in order for them to be able to find like a sort of romance all over again. But again, it takes two people that are willing to be intentional, right? And so at that point, I used to know of a couple who they started out incorrectly. They did the whole thing. And I mean, they got married just because, they were young and in love, but the fire died out. And then they were like, all right, well, they actually came to church and they found God together. And they're like, all right, now let's do it the right way, right? And so I think it just comes down to, it may start off as just like the pure commitment, like a shotgun wedding, if I may say that. But if both people are willing to work at it, then it's fair. Then sometimes it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Yeah. And I've actually noticed too that people do it for their kids as well.
Yeah.
You know, to just showcase like, like I am committed to your mom. You know, like let me show you at least what you're saying. Maybe I didn't start correctly when I started, but at least in the middle where I could show some sort of perspective or another idea of how to maneuver, because the kids are going to follow later on.
Yeah.
The intentions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, maybe we didn't do things right in the beginning.
Yeah.
But let's finish doing it right.
And kids will definitely shift your mindset. I know like that's a really common theme with married couples is, when you start having children, you start, do I really want to be this example to my kids? Would I be okay with my daughter marrying somebody like this? Would I be okay with my son dating somebody like this? And you begin to shift your thinking as a result. So the same thing. I know that like you said, you have kids and you're like, for the kids' sake, we better get married because I wouldn't be okay with my daughter living with the guy. You know what I mean? And so that shift begins to take place because as we talked about in the previous episodes, is that in Malachi, it says the purpose of marriage is to raise godly children. That's the entire purpose and design that God created, was to raise godly children. It wasn't just to have a partner and be selfish with this person, like this is just someone I could live my life with and jive with. This is somebody that is going to create a generation, the next generation of human beings. And so if you go in with that mindset, things begin to really shift and take a different turn in how you act towards this potential spouse.
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
and like maybe put your advice towards this person. Let's say you guys know somebody, let's say a girl, right? They're together, they have a kid, this and that, but there's nowhere in sight where the man's gonna ask for engagement, right? What is your advice for her?
she has a kid, that one's hard.
There's no insight like that. That guy does not want to get married.
That's a really common one. And that's hard because she has a kid. If it, no kid, I'd be like, get out of there, girl. But with a kid.
All right. So this is a hot take for me.
Yeah, go for it.
It's a hot take. But I would say I would walk away.
Yeah.
Because it's, right, we're looking at it from a biblical standpoint.
Yeah,
and so you're in continual sin, right? Sleeping with this man that's not committed to you. And you're allowing your kid to think that it's okay simply because of the kid, right? And of course, children they deserve their place, but they also need to see their parents respect each other, right? And so if you're going to teach your kids the law of the Lord, right? If you're going to teach them to grow up godly, then you got to teach them the consequences of their mistake. And so that is a consequence of your mistake, right? And so one thing that I've noticed and one thing that we're big on is like, you know, when following God's will, you have to be you have to be willing to let things go and allow God to redeem the situation. So by not setting that boundary with that man, she's allowing herself to be strung along, right? So imagine if she's like, all right, like if you don't want anything with me, I'm going to walk away. I'm going to dip out and I'm going to be just me and my child. To me, that's the wisest thing that you can do because that's going to cause one of two things. That man is either going to step up and be like, oh crap, like she wasn't kidding about that. Or he's going to walk away. And guess what? You win in both situations.
Yep.
And your kid wins in both situations. You're like, I hate using this. It's such a cliche, but my friends love it and other people love it. It's such a worldwide thing. You know, that picture of Jesus and with the little girl with the little teddy bear and he's like asking for the little teddy bear.
I see that.
Yeah. And then she's like, no, but I love it. And then he's like, and he has like a bigger teddy bear behind his back. Like it's literally that, right? Yeah. And man, I've seen it. Like I've seen women and men stay in situations out of convenience, blaming the other person, and they low-key hate each other, like because they're resenting one another. Because they don't want to do the hard thing, which is let each other go. And is it easy? Absolutely not. Like, man, heartbreak is, you feel like you're dying, right? Rejection is physical pain. And so it's not easy, but at the end of the day, like, you got to have a check with yourself, right? And be like, right, what am I worth? And once you step into your worth, your identity, then it becomes a game changer. You're going to look back and be like, why the hell did I even tolerate that man?
100%. You know? No, and I love that. It just goes back to the kid too. If she has a daughter, she's showing her daughter, this is the kind of man that I want you to be with, or by her example alone. Or if she has a son, this is the kind of man I want you to be by her example. And so, allowing that to continue on in her life for the sake of herself and for the sake of her child is just not healthy at all.
Yeah. And let me just say, yes, it's hard, right? We're big.
We know it's a hard decision to make.
We don't want to say that, but what tends to happen when women have that epiphany, for some reason, they go through their phase where they just start clubbing, they start doing all the crazy nonsense. And when you're about to make a decision like that, you better make sure that you're surrounded by the right people who are not going to take you out clubbing, who are not going to take you out doing this nonsense thing, but that are going to help you actually move on from the thing, right? You got to make sure that you have a strong community around you where it's just like, you know what, dude, like I'm about to do this crazy thing. Like I'm not feeling good about it. I don't even want to do it, but I know that it's the right thing for me to do. Like I need you to help me move on in a good way. Because unfortunately people end up falling into more sin. Like I know people who ended up having another kid because they ended up doing crazy stuff, you know? And so your community matters, right? So
community matters big time.
Like it's make or break, honestly.
Yeah.
Gonna have like 10 divorces by this week. Watch.
Oh God.
They'll be commenting. I got divorced.
Not gonna redeem anything.
I took your advice.
In your comments, I needed to hear that.
This is not professional advice. Okay. So just know that. But yeah. So anyway, bringing it back to should women propose? I think the answer is nah. That is no. Can you imagine like? That is desperation at its core. I'm not saying that like derogatorily. It's just a matter of fact. Proposing to the man because he hasn't made the move is legit desperation. Like you've hit your mark and you're just like, bro, like it's either this or nothing. Like, can we just not?
Just leave at that point.
Just leave. Yeah. And if a man says yes to a woman proposing, like, dude, I just
imagine how the rest of that marriage is gonna go. Like you're gonna be mom. Like in that.
Can you imagine telling your kids that? Like
your mom proposed to me.
Yeah,
we are now seeing that I guess our attributes as human beings, they're kind of like being entangled.
Yeah.
And we are normalizing it. Once again, it's an opinion.
Sure, yeah.
You know, because I know you guys are talking about more of the biblical side.
Yeah.
I'm talking literally just as a man. I'm like,
Well, even as a woman, like, no.
Yeah, no.
Like, yikes. But to each their own.
Yeah, to
if
each
it makes
their
you
own,
guys
exactly.
happy, live your life, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have seen it. We've seen it, you know, like where the characteristic of a woman is now being placed on the man and the man being on the woman.
Like switching roles.
Yeah, we're switching roles now. And you could tell that they want to make it work, but characteristics as far as just biology, you know, like it only lasts so long, you know, like a woman isn't able to like sustain a whole family by herself while the man just stays at home. And even though he's taking care of the kid, the guy in his core, he doesn't feel purposeful yet because he's not feeling his purpose, you know, he's not serving his family. He's basically catering to it at that point. But I don't know. To each his own. I don't know.
That's a safe answer at the end. I'm going to give you my hardcore answer.
If that were me.
But you guys are cool.
Yeah, you guys are all right. I'll still say hi to you guys.
So what is, you guys have seen, you're saying, right, that you've seen those characteristics. Like what do you make of it? Like if those people were to come to you and ask you for advice and like, what do you say to them? Like, yeah, man, do whatever you want.
I'll make them cry.
Like a girl, like, oh, I want to propose to my man.
Yeah. Like what would you?
Don't do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm nobody to you. I can't tell you to do anything, first of all, but I don't agree.
There you go. Okay.
There you go. That's me right there.
Good disclaimer.
If it were me.
But if for me, nah.
Yeah. What do you think? What would you say?
As far as a proposal?
Yeah.
If the girl came to me and asked me for the advice of like, why isn't my guy? I'm like, bro, like he's probably not into it. Like at the end of the day, he should be proposing. He should be taking that initiative, you know, like it's even thinking about proposing is very nerve wracking. So that just shows a characteristic that he doesn't have to actually put in work into his own character. You know, to say like, hey, either he's too scared, too timid, too feminine, you know, whatever you want to say, or he just doesn't want to do it. Now, if she does it, regardless of what I say, it's really up to like whatever they want to go through. It's their experience. But if it's a close friend, and I do have one that's a friend that's a girl, and if she were to come up to me, I'll laugh. I'm like, what are you doing? Like
She's crying.
Like I don't like.
She's like about like, how do you even pick out a ring?
Like I'm like, bro, you gotta choose a different guy. I'm sorry, like. I wouldn't approve of it. And once again, that's just my one friend that is a girl. So I'm brutally honest, like to the point where we've said some things to each other. I'm like, okay, we crossed a little bit of the line, but that's how honest we are, you know? And if she, like I said, the conversation hypothetically were to happen, I would just laugh at her. I'm like, yeah, don't. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Irvin's brutally honest.
Dude. I'm excited to get into this topic. All right. So now today's topic. So there's this trend that I've been seeing, and maybe just because it's been a little bit more obvious lately, but people, it's a tale as old as time, but people jumping from relationship to relationship to relationship. And to me, I'm just like, how do you take the time to heal from that? Like, what
is this the serial dating part?
Yeah, serial dating.
Okay,
serial dating.
we were calling each other like, what is that?
Why did you just
I ChatGPT'd it. I was like, ChatGPT, what is this?
What did it say?
Basically what you were saying.
Okay, good.
Relationships without commitment.
Yeah, okay, there's that too. Well, I guess it's one and the same. But yeah, I've just seen that where people are like, oh, love of my life. And then like a week later, it's like, oh, love of my life. And it's just like, bruh, like, which life are we on? Is it like
no foundation, bro? Like, not on the relationship. You, as a person, like, you got no foundation.
Oof.
Yeah.
Okay, Ramsey, that's true.
Yeah.
So what is your perception of that? Like, yeah. Well, obviously you said that, but
first of all, you don't know what love is. No idea.
What is love, Rams? Tell us.
Love is crazy.
All right.
Love can make you do. Love can make you do crazy things. Love is very powerful.
But what's the definition?
Definition, damn. Why are you trying to?
Because you're in love, bro. I want to know.
You should say.
I'm learning here.
Love is. Damn, bro. I'm in love. I could say that.
Come on.
I am in love.
Okay, but define it though.
It's the way you look at Irvin.
Something that you'll do anything for. You know, something that you can't live without. Something
like food.
No. This is different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think something unconditional, something you can't live without.
Something or someone?
Someone.
Okay.
That someone is something.
All right.
But we're talking about love though, like in general.
Yeah.
Like
Let me help you
Because
out.
you're trying to tell me to define it.
No, I want to know
me help
because
you out.
you're the
Read
one
that
that's
right there.
Corinthians 13. I already know,
bro.
Love is patient, love is kind, love is not
See, there we
envious.
go.
He's the
Love
love
is not
over here.
brag.
Yeah.
It is not puffed up. It is not rude. It's not self-serving. It is not easy angered or resentful. It is not glad about injustice, but rejoices in truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things.
Whoa, Ramsey, that
Bars.
was deep.
Yeah,
Bars.
that was so deep.
I didn't read that. That was off the top of my head.
And that's like version as well, like John to the dawn.
I knew that part though. Corinthians 13.
But you didn't say it.
Well,
What is love, bro? I'm still learning.
So let me help you out.
tell me.
Yeah.
I wanted to know about the married man. I'm like, I got a male friend.
Okay. How did you know that you were in love with your wife? How about we
that's a good
present it
one.
in that way?
Oh, we getting deep.
Oof.
We getting deep.
all right, what is love?
We're
If you guys were in the studio, you would see that the lights are dimming because it's getting
we're
it's
getting
getting
deep,
real.
bro.
Ramses is sweating right now.
I'll get emotional right now, bro.
Aw.
Look at his
I'll get
eyes.
emotional
Getting
right
red.
now. You,
He didn't get enough sleep.
Melissa, asking
do
me
it.
that question.
Do it.
Go
Okay.
for it.
Damn. Okay, I was in a. All right, I'm gonna be very vulnerable right now.
Okay.
Okay. I was in a very dark place. Emotionally, mentally, in a lot of ways. But then when I started dating my wife, she was like a light. Yeah. And even though she was a light, I was still kind of covering my eyes from the brightness. It's just talking metaphorically, right?
Yeah.
And she really showed me and really healed me, helped me heal my heart, my mind, everything. She pursued consistently to help me. And I've told her this, like, you basically like took me out of that hellhole I was in. And even though I was probably a lot of times cold shoulder to you, cold to you, like empty words to you, you were still there. And that right there is slowly but surely me realizing like this is the love of my life.
So cute.
Yeah.
And to put it into like layman's terms, love is an experience.
Oof. You were waiting to say that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
were waiting.
I thought I had told him that before because we talk about this stuff all. He comes to me, bro, and I'm like, bro, it's we overcomplicate everything, and sometimes it's because we just don't know how to actually communicate it out loud, and just asking questions, we'll answer them sometimes, and it's just I'm like, I know he knew it.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't know. He didn't drink his coffee.
It's been a long day. No, just kidding. But yeah, I thought you guys were asking for like a simple definition, but I guess but as far as like asking about my wife, how I knew that was it, but that's my answer. That I can answer.
Yeah. No, that's really good. And it's honestly a little bit interesting, right? Because one of the things that we recently talked about is, or we're even talking about it now, like the roles, right, between a male and a female. And so you use the word pursue. And so what made it okay in that moment for the woman to pursue as opposed to it not being like out of the gender role? Does that make sense?
Ooh, I think that was my wife, like pursuing, but that wasn't out of her role either. Yeah, she backed off when she needed to.
Okay.
But she was there when she needed to. She knew.
Yeah.
She knew that perfect balance, Yeah. But it's like as if like she knew like eventually, like she was putting those seeds in me, basically. I don't know if that's the right term.
No, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's okay, like open up with me, type thing.
She made you feel safe, and I think that's
she did.
That's the heart and that's the desire of every woman with her man is yes, you're the provider and the protector, but I'm the one that engulfs your heart, and I'm the one that can give you that space to feel at home. And I like how you said that she knew the balance too, because there's a difference between you being in a dark place and her helping you out of that, and you keeping her in that dark place. If that makes sense, like you worked to get out of that place to be worthy of her. And some women with that desire of, I want to help him. He has potential, like that's a big one for women.
That right there, you just hit it right on the spot. She knew my potential. She was seeing what was in me that I couldn't see.
And that's a desire of a woman's heart, is to pull that out in her man.
Exactly.
And so, but the question I have is, because a lot of women have that desire and it's a godly desire, I have a question for you of like, where's that line where it becomes just you dragging her down? And where does she leave? Where's that line that she has to go, you know what, he's just staying in this dark place for too long and he's not putting in the work to get out?
To be honest, it was like, yes, she did help me, and she stood back when she needed to, but then she was there when she needed to. She knew. It was a lot of me thinking about like, what is this chick doing? Like, why is she like willing to talk to me, wants to be there, showing me so much love. I don't want to drag her down with me. And I was thinking about her too. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't selfish about it. Like, no, I'm down here. You come down here with me. That's selfish. Don't do that. But I was willing, because slowly I was like, I was in love with her, but like to the point where I want to get serious, like that, taking it to the next step and then the next step forward, like that. I knew I had to get out of that hole, right? Because I didn't want to get engaged and I'm still thinking in that mindset. You know what I mean? Of course not. You got to be able to love yourself to love someone else first, right?
Amen.
And it wasn't until then, like when I started like feeling good about myself, loving myself more. It was just like, that's when I knew, thank you. And I remember, I tell my wife sometimes, like, thank you. Like, you were there.
Awesome.
You were
I know.
there.
I think we need to interview her.
Yeah, for sure.
No, but the reason why I wanted to like draw that out is because I think a lot of women.
I'm sorry, but I don't know if I answered the question.
No, it did
for sure.
I think a lot of women, they become that, right? But not in a healthy way, where they are just like, they allow themselves to get drugged down into the mud and all that stuff.
I can save him. I can save him mentality, which again, I think is a very godly desire, but you have to know the line. You have to know the limit, because eventually if a man's just not working to get out of that place, you got to go.
Yeah, you can't help someone who's not willing to help themselves.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a hard balance all the time, and you really got to have like discernment in order to know how to navigate something. Because
100%.
Being constantly, there's always going to be phases in relationships where you got to cover each other, right? Where you got to, okay, I'm weak in this area, whatever. But I think understanding when it's like, okay, like now I'm enabling this behavior versus I'm supporting you healing from this. I think it's a huge difference.
Well, that word enablement, it goes back to that of how do you recognize when you're an enabler? And for me, like I said, I'm divorced, right? He was an addict. And so my desire throughout the whole marriage was, I can save you, I can help you, I'm going to be your encourager, I'm going to be there for you. Where I knew it was time to go was the day that he looked at me and said, I don't have to make you a priority. You're not leaving. And it was at that moment I'm like, you're not trying, and I gotta go. But that was the moment I realized, by staying, I'm enabling this behavior. And so that was the moment that I started, getting ready to leave. And so it goes back to that of it is a very godly desire, and I want women listening to know that, like, your desire and your ability to see a man's potential, that's godly, that's instilled in you. And but you have to recognize when a man is actually going to utilize that help and utilize that encouragement to become better, as opposed to drag you down, because there is that line and there's that limit of he's just using you to be that encourager and that fun and that help in his life, but he's not actually utilizing that encouragement to become a better version of himself.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's like that helper versus enabler, essentially bringing it down to that. So
no, I like what you said. You know, I've seen too many couples, not just guys, girls too. I mean, girls with guys, guys with girls, whatever situation. But it goes both ways. Like, you just have to understand your own boundaries as far as a person. Like, how long are you willing to wait for that person to like actually drag themselves out themselves, you know, to say, hey, I'm going to meet you halfway and, you know, here we go. But if they're just kind of just not doing anything and just taking, I guess, your advice or your presence, just, you know, just willy-nilly, you know, like, what's the point, you know? But of course, we are creatures of habit, and we do like attachment, you know, like it's hard for that idea of separating when someone's hurting. And I think that within itself also hurts the person that wants to leave, because, you know, like, oh, I do want to help you out, but I don't want to be the cause of it either.
Yeah.
So which one am I going to take or partake, you know? Damn. But then again, it all goes individually. Like, every circumstance is different. Yeah. You know, I have friends that have stuck around in relationships for 8 years, and they tell me like, hey, he does this, he does that. Once again, I'm really brutally honest. I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, what are you doing? Like, if you're telling me one thing, I'm going to give you advice first. I'm like, okay, these are the steps that you could do. These are the things that you could actually help them out. Like, you're whatever. But after a while, like, once you start telling me the same problem I'm like, you're dumb. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you're part of the problem now.
Yeah. Like, you've chosen to stay. So now just deal with it type of thing. Yeah. Okay. So back to the topic at hand. What is the opinion, right? You said there's no foundation in that person, right? So what do you mean by there's no foundation in that person that is constantly dating?
Yeah. Like I said, you don't know what love is. Your morals are probably out of whack. Priorities out of whack. Priorities meaning like even your money. You're spending a lot of money when you're dating that much.
True.
You're probably like morals. Obviously, you're probably dating for the wrong reasons too. Let's be real. I would say all that, like, nothing's in line as it should be. I think that's it.
I think that's hard to form like any substantial attachment. Like if I were to be dating somebody that went from like relationship to relationship, I'd be like, do you just want somebody or do you want me? Because there's a huge difference in that, right? Because anybody can fill a space. Like, anybody can do XYZ, anybody can take you out for a date, anybody can pick whatever, all those things. But there's only like one person that feels like the gap. That is just like a match. You know what I mean? And so to me, it's just like, as you're doing that, then it doesn't seem like you just want a copy of something in order for you to form.
It could be too where this person that's serial dating is not ready for like that real commitment, where like they're serial dating because they just like the honeymoon phase. They don't like it when it starts to get serious.
That's a good point. Yeah.
You know, that could be a reason too.
I like that.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Oh, do you want to go first?
I mean, I know a very close friend of mine. She's a serial dater, and she recognizes it. I can't keep up with her. Every time she's like, "Oh, did I tell you about this new guy?" And I'm like, "Which new guy you've had the past few weeks?" But with her specifically, it's just that it is that fear of commitment, and we always joke with her. I'm like, the moment the guy starts to like you, like, you're done. She'll be crushing on a guy, and the moment he returns the interest, she's like, bye. You know, and it's just that fear of commitment. It's that, oh my gosh, this is getting real. I have to get vulnerable. I have to really think about, what this looks like for my future. She's a very independent person too. So giving up that independence is hard. But ultimately, I think, from a women's side, like for a guy, he's the one pushing all the money and doing, you know, some women just do it because they're like, free meal. You know?
It's true. There's women out there. I saw like this on Instagram, I think, where this girl was like, I didn't have to pay for dinner for like God knows how long because she went on a date every freaking day.
Dude, Hinge, man, I'm telling you. Like,
yeah, honestly.
So from what I've seen and what I've witnessed, it just comes down to a real fear of commitment and vulnerability with another person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree exactly where you're actually coming from. Me being in the dating scene, as far as like when I go on dates, and this is prior, like this is maybe months ago, I was seeing this girl and I told her straight out, I'm like, yo, I want 5 dates, but I'm going to commit to this. Like, I'm going to commit to you. I'm not going to talk to anybody. And hopefully it's reciprocated. But even saying that, what you're saying about the liberties, you know, of on her end, they like that. They don't want that pressure on them. And that's where I noticed like, oh, she gave me 2 and that was it. And I'm like, oh, it's because in your head, you're already like fully committed to like, I'm already, all of a sudden it's a title now. But I'm like, no, there's a purpose for this. You know, like I'm not going to go talk to you and talk to like 3 other girls on my DMs. I'm trying to showcase verbally like what this is for me. But once again, it's just the mindset of the serial dating. It's just the fear of like, what am I letting go when I'm actually going into this fully? Yeah. And it's unfortunately because we are in the, you know, the era where we could talk to a lot of people, you know, and I think
all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's harder to actually start, like building, you know, a foundation of anything because we're just bombarded by so many people. Like, but it all depends on the person as well. But that's kind of that's just my perspective on my experience, though.
No, it's true. I was speaking to one of our elders here at church, and she was talking about her and her husband. And she's like, yeah, they met because her now husband went to go meet her sister because they were like trying to date or whatever. And she's like, yeah, it didn't work out with them. So we started dating. And she's like, that was just it back in the day. Like, you know, in church groups, I mean, granted, like they've known each other since they were teenagers and they're like, what, 60s now? I'm expecting you to know who I'm talking about. But that was it, right? Because you only had a certain pool that you could draw from. And nowadays it's like, dude, you can be talking to like, what's that song? Different area codes, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And so
I got a Nigerian prince in my DMs right now trying to get my banking information.
But it's true. And it's like, man, it's so many different choices, right? Yeah. And it's funny because me and Denise talk about this all the time, where she's like, there's certain things that are just not an option for me. Like, for example, the reason why people start, and we were talking about something else, like about houses and whatever. But if we take that and we apply it to like relationships, it's like, okay, it's the reason why people start cheating on their spouses, on their girlfriends, whatever. It's because they start toying with different ideas, right? And so, you know, that old saying, like, people say the grass is greener on the other side, but the grass is greener where you water it, right? So it's like, yeah, it may not end up being like what you fantasize about, what you thought you were going to end up with. But if you put like your hands to the plow, as the Bible says, like, then you're going to build and you're going to be able to create the life that you've always wanted, right? And the thing about, to me, like, when I define love, obviously, yes, the Bible, but love is commitment, right? Love is saying, you know what, like emotion, no emotion, like butterflies, no butterflies, like I've committed myself to you. And so as that, I'm going to move forward with that, right? I'm going to do my best to draw out like what's best in you and cover what's not the best in you. And hopefully the other person is in that same reciprocation. But at the end of the day, like, just not, like you said, like letting go of that fear of what you can be missing out on and be like, you know what am I gonna give, right? And it goes back to the selfishness and the pride that's currently in the dating arena, where it's like, okay, what can this person bring to me? What can this person add to me? Which we talked about this question in one of our episodes.
Like reciprocal?
Yeah. But like in a business deal type of thing. Like we just talked about how when you're on a date and somebody asks you like, okay, what can you bring to the table? I was like, if somebody were to ask me that, I'd be like, bye. You know what I mean? Like, I understand the intention, but it's like, what are you drawing out, right? Because I'm the same person at work and I'm the same person here. I'm the same person, but what people draw out of me is what's needed in that function, right? So if I'm in a relationship and this is the person that I decide to commit to, then you're going to draw all the good and sometimes the bad, but we're going to work through that, right? And people don't know how to do that anymore. People just want like, okay, the convenience. They want the social media. They want the pictures. They want the family portraits. But in reality, they're not willing to like build legacy. They're not willing to build like generations, like, which is crazy to me because that's like bringing it back to what you said about Malachi. The purpose of marriage, right? The purpose of anything is to bring children. And what are children? Like children are going to draw out the selfish parts of you where you're going to have to literally die to yourself, right? And so people aren't willing to give themselves over to anything in that same level of commitment, you know?
Ultimately, it's just people are chasing the emotion of love and not grounding themselves in the fact that love is also an action. The feeling of love is great, but like all feelings, it's fleeting, you know? And the moment that feeling inevitably leaves you and you're not feeling it anymore, people tend to just follow that feeling. But yeah, if you just ground yourself in love is patient, love is kind, love is, you know, it's long suffering, you know, there's the action behind it. And despite the fact that I don't no longer like you right now, and you're kind of on my nerves right now, like,
there you go. That's love right there.
Like,
for real.
I'm going to choose to put you first anyway. And that's what real love is.
I know all about that.
Yeah, you're a married man. That's why.
So
no, I actually want to go off of what you just mentioned right now as far as like not liking the person. I've actually seen couples that don't like each other but love each other. And now going off of that, do you agree with that?
I do. I don't like Melissa a lot.
We fight a lot. We really do.
But honestly, if you stay in that place, and we talk about it all the time, like rekindling that spark, but when you're married and when you're with this person, there's kids, there's jobs, there's financial struggles, there's seasons where you're not yourself or you're not your best. They're not their self. They're not the best. And you have to be extremely intentional about keeping that spark alive. And that's going to look so different depending on the season that you're in. When you have toddlers running around, it's not easy to just go out and grab a cup of coffee and have a long conversation. So you have to figure out how to navigate how you're going to express love to each other in that season. But it's about both you being intentional. But, you know, there's going to be times where, like I said, I love Melissa. There's never been a day where I haven't loved you. She is my sister, but we fight a lot. And there's been many, many times where I just don't like her.
That's why
we
it works.
were roommates, though. Like, we were roommates. And the amount of times that we bickered, we did with long road trips in the snow. We didn't like each other then. We laugh about it now. But it's about being intentional. And I intentionally love her. Even on the times that I don't like her very much. Do I want to stay in that place? No, I don't want to stay in the place of not liking you. But that's where I have to make the decision. How can I be intentional about expressing my love to her and renewing that spark so that I can also like her?
No, I agree. I like that what you said, intent. You know, like I'm just looking at older couples, you know, like where they're in the same room and I know they don't like each other. They're like, you guys don't even talk to each other. Like, I know you're just maybe because of the religion or the kids. I'm like, but oh man, like. But
at that point, do they really love each other? Like,
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
It just goes back to that action. Like, there's an action of love, and if they're remaining in the place of just not liking each other and they've gotten comfortable there, I would argue that they don't even love each other because it goes back to where's the expression of that.
It's just comfort, which is, you know, this whole going back to the commitment thing, like it's really crazy because people can grasp this concept when it comes to like a job. So for example, I don't know that I've felt excited to go to my job like in the past like week or so, but I still showed up. And I still did what I needed to do in order for me to reap the benefits of having a job. So it's crazy because people can adopt that, right? When it comes to their job, when it comes to these things, but when it comes to things that are like even more so important to like marriage, relationships, whatever, like they're so willing to like walk away. When in reality, it's just like, dude, like if you're putting this effort here, like you should be putting this kind of effort even more so here, right? It's what we were talking about before we even started filming, where it's just like, I don't even know what a 9 to 5 is. It's not just clocking in and out. It's understanding that whatever you do, like your job, your relationships, whatever, is for a purpose. And so determining what that purpose is, I think it'll help you like build and commit and stay true, you know?
That's good.
It's just crazy stuff. It's crazy stuff. It really, like, this generation is literally the most annoying thing ever in the entire world when it comes to commitment. Like,
they
the worst.
They throw the example. I mean, excuse. They're like, it's exhausting.
Yeah,
you know, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to show it.
Yeah, it's like, dude,
well, like, you're in the dating scene, aren't you?
I'm single, but I'm not dating. But
okay, well, you're in the dating scene.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
She's picky.
I was like, is there a follow-up question?
Yeah. Well, as far as generation, do you see it in your generation as well as like from the men?
As far as lack of commitment?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And all the way around, whether it be we're talking about the dating scene, so let me talk about that. Yes, for sure. I think there's this lack, and I get it, especially like in our first seasons, we started talking about men and how there's a lack of commitment simply because there's like this war between like the two genders, right? Where for a long time, society has taught women to not honor men or whatever. And so what that has done is it has made men become recluse, right? And so now they're about just like absorbing everything that they can, bringing it to themselves and delighting on their own like passions, whether it be video games, whether it be their own hobbies, hunting, whatever. And so I'm not saying like, you know, that men don't have their faults, but I think in general, society has created this because men by nature are like loyal, you know, like they'll fight to the death. Like, I mean, look at Gladiator. I mean, hello. But they'll fight to the death, right? Once they set their heart on something, like it's hard to make a man veer away from that. And so, but what has happened, one is that, you know, things like, you know, it's like sexual things are more available online, if you guys catch the drift. They're able to just get their pleasures at whatever without the commitment and without having to sew into any woman, right? Because now women are so quick to like give it up for just like a cheap meal. And so like there's just been like this detriment, right, to society, which is at its face value, yes, men, women, we both suck when it comes to commitment, painting with a broad brush here. But also it's because of the way that it's been orchestrated, to be honest. And I know it sounds kind of like conspiracy, whatever, but it's the truth. Like, men want to be able to know that whatever they sow into, there's going to be an investment. And women want to know that what they do, because we have this ability to create something out of nothing. We want to know that it's going to be valued, it's going to be treasured, and it's going to create safety. And so, and to answer it short, yeah, absolutely. I see it plaguing our society. But I think it goes far beyond than just not being able to commit to women.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Cause I see it more on cause I'm the one going after the girls.
Yeah.
So mine is 25 to 32. So that's kind of like an age that I'm used to, but I'm not used to the above 35, you know? So I'm like, does that happen still in the 35-year-olds, 40-year-olds? Because they're getting up there. I'm like, do they not mature? Like, what's going on?
It's hard. It's hard. I don't know. I can't speak for them because I'm not 35 yet. But I think it's hard to like be able to, because at some point, right? And it's crazy because it comes back to, right? Like men don't really care what the woman's profession is. Like, dude, like, true. You know? Yeah. But for women, it matters for them because during the meantime, like, what are you going to do? Like, you're just going to sit at home and wait? Like, it doesn't work out that way, you know? Or it shouldn't. I hope not. So it's hard because once women start reaching like their 40s and everything, they have their life built. Yeah. And to be willing to let that go is a special kind of sacrifice. For sure.
Yeah. It's what my dad usually says is there's wet cement, and then there's, you know, which is you're still moldable, you're still shapeable. Your life hasn't been established, your career hasn't been established. And that's usually a prime time to start dating and start finding somebody. But then sometimes like you get established in your own life, your own independence. I mean, like you have a house, you have your own job, your career, and you still want to, you know, take that with somebody else who has their life, their career, their life, you know, their establishments, and just try to somehow, you know, mesh together hard cement, you know, it's absolutely doable. But again, it just comes with what we constantly talk about, intentionality. If you're both intentional, yes, it can absolutely work, you know. And I know that like the statistics on like arranged marriages are so profound, but it's because they both go in understanding their roles and understanding that regardless of how I feel about you, I'm going to be intentional intentional with you
Yeah.
and make this work. And so, yeah, as you get older, you get a little bit more set in your ways and you're a little bit more established. And this is the way I do things. But if you are willing to compromise and communicate and making that work is absolutely doable.
Yeah.
You both have to go with that mindset of I'm going to give a little bit and I'm going to take a little bit.
For sure. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. I was like, oh, maybe they don't mature. We're all doomed.
And it just depends. It really depends
hard out
on the
here.
person. To me, so this is something we talk about all the time. When I'm dating a man, I look at his friends. When I am looking at his influences, I'm looking at his father figures, not necessarily even his father, just the older men that he surrounds himself with, his mentors, his examples. That's what I look at when I date a man. And so for me, it's just that's a sure sign of maturity, is not just who you are as a person, but who are your daily influences and who are you going to, who's holding you accountable to being a good man. And so if you're looking for, maturity, that's my advice is don't just look at how this person acts around you. Anybody could be anybody when it's just me and you at a table, at a little private coffee shop. But who are you when you're around your family? Who are you when you're around your friends? That's the version I want to see.
Yeah.
And so there you go. Like if you need help identifying a woman's maturity, that's another big one, even from a woman's perspective, is who are her surroundings and her influences.
Who are her homegirls?
Exactly.
Like who's going to influence her?
Yeah, exactly.
Are they all single?
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
a
Or
red
maybe
flag.
like
100%.
she's following nothing but influencers.
Right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh my goodness.
I'll even throw it in that extent.
Take it one step further. All right. Well, it's very insightful. Did we touch the question? We did touch the question. So anything else you guys would like to add?
question a lot more.
About the serial dating?
Anything.
At this point, we're going off the fly.
Oh, shoot. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm a married man, man. I don't have nothing to say.
You better be
Starts
thanking the Lord
grunting.
every night. Thank you, Jesus, that we're not out there right now.
Yeah. No, but it's just if you're single, just don't serial date.
Yeah.
Don't do that though, for sure.
Yeah.
But I just, this is what I love about you guys. You guys always throwing in the good points, and they're not just points, because I don't even call them as opinions, because they're more facts, because you guys throw it out there, but then you guys back it up with something else, and that's what makes it into a fact. And that's what I really dig about you guys. And I remember I would tell you guys when I used to help you guys, and like I said, if some of our viewers from over at Shader Brown are listening or watching this, like for real, tune in on their stuff, because if you're in the dating scene and if you're thinking about popping the question, tune into these ladies first. Maybe you throw in a few pointers here and there, and I said it myself too. I learned some few things when I used to record you guys, and taking notes on that too. And I say that because I was there. That's what I want to say. Being friends with you guys, like this whole journey. And we're kind of part of your journey too,
for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to say that real quick.
Thanks, Ramsey.
Yeah,
that means a lot.
Yeah, thanks, Ramsey.
Yeah,
Irvin, can you follow that up, please?
Question or conclusion?
Anything.
Oh,
It can be both.
It could be both. How long do we have?
Well, actually, it can be a conclusion. It's been about 48 minutes.
You're good. Thank you for inviting us. Met you at the studio. First time meeting
Shekinah.
Yes,
which
you'll
is a
get it,
very
it's
unique name. And I think I asked around, I was like, I wonder where she's from.
Yeah.
I was like, Shekinah.
It's a Hebrew word. Yeah.
Very
yeah.
interesting. Hebrew.
It's a Hebrew word. Yes.
Oh.
So it's
Stands for?
Yes, it means glory of God. It's a very Christian name.
Okay.
Well, now I know. Because
There you go.
I've met a Zealot
Okay.
before, and I had to ask her too. I'm like, where does that come from?
It was a woman's name. Nice.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know. I like to ask if I don't know. I'm not going to remember. Like, I have to ask these questions.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it brings it up to like an image, like Hebrew. I'm like, okay, I remember that now.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I'll put it together. Yeah. Thank you so much for everything. And I don't know. You guys have really good talking head points, and I like your versions as far as like what you guys are answering and what you guys are talking about. Like, I might not be religious as far as like I'm not sure if you know. I know he knows, but for some reason I always gravitate towards this. Because I'm a part of the AV faith. The Women of God business thing, and like it always comes back to like the more traditional setting. And I always tell them I'm not religious. It's like, it's not that I don't believe in God. It's just I don't follow, I guess, your doctrine as far as like what you guys are as Presbyterian or Catholic or Jewish or whatever. It just, for me, it's just like I'm gonna follow, I guess, what I've been following already. And for some reason, it always gravitates towards this, So thank you for having me here.
So God's working on him, guys. Yeah. God's working on him.
Yeah, I think it's just the path that
Let's just put our hands out right now.
Yeah, right.
Pastor, come out here, please.
Yeah,
just need a bowl of water.
I'm just kidding. I've gone to Catholic churches. The priests are like, you're Catholic, but you're just not practicing it. I've gone to Christian churches, and they want me to be a part of the ministry. I'm like, I'm not about that, like I can't be put in a title. I find it easier for me to connect with people when I find it where I'm not put in a box.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people gravitate towards me as far as like when they want to ask anything, because it's not something that I'm going to parrot. I'm just going to say it. I'm like, are you sure you want the answer? Because I'm going to tell you the answer. Or are you just wanting me to agree with you because you need me to agree with you? And, it's just my path, like who knows where it takes me. I just want to be fairly honest, because even the AV Run with Faith, they're all religious. They pray, they do their prayer, they do their sermon and everything. And I'm just chilling, but I'm there, and then I like that I'm a part of it. I like that the Women Business of God, they accept me, and I'm happy to be here too. So thank you.
And we're glad you're here.
Yeah.
Nothing's forced.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until
He come to church.
Take you in the back room right
now. Yeah. I mean, what do I say? Okay. No, I think that's great. I think
she's still nervous.
No, it's died down. We're good. Okay. Get out. I'm kidding.
And we're done.
Yeah. No, I think we pride ourselves in that, right? Like we never want to be, if Christianity doesn't lend out a hand, then what are we doing, right? But no, we appreciate you guys. We thank you guys for coming. I'm glad that you feel safe for being here.
For the water, I feel a little drowsy here.
What's in the water,
bro?
But I think I don't know what to say, because I mean, like I do, but in a way I don't. It's really quite weird, but that's a conversation for a different day. If I can say that. But I really appreciate you guys being here. We appreciate you guys. Yeah. Obviously, we definitely treasure the connection. And so we're just excited. I think we're definitely gonna have to have a conversation with your wife. Oh, okay. So a lot of people that listened to the first episode where we did it with you guys, a lot of people were asking, they were interested in knowing what happened with In-N-Out.
Oh, wow. Nosy people.
We got invested listeners.
Oh my God. Who are
we need to finish the soap opera.
we got to have the follow-up. So let us know.
Oh my God. And cheese mail over here.
We got to leave them with something good before we get the tips.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, right?
Cliffhanger. All right, we're done. Until the next one. So as far as that relationship goes, I always set my boundaries. She is a great girl. I appreciate her. There's one thing that she did that I didn't agree with. And
was it big, Ramsey? Do you know what it is?
I don't talk to him about my relationships like at all. Like he's never met one girl. Not one.
How does that make you feel, Ramsey? Tell us.
No,
It's not very cute. And we're men. We're men. We're men, bro.
Okay.
We're men. We got testosterone.
Okay.
Do I see a tear, Ramsey?
I'm kidding. I wish he would open up to me one day.
I'm not sure if I want to say it wasn't something big. Like I don't want to shame her in any type of way. I don't want to bring her down in any type of way. But there is one thing, and I think I could bring it up, is just she posted a picture on WhatsApp on her profile and she had a crop top. Oh. Now, once again, if I'm committing to you and if I see you're peacocking, that's a big no-no to me.
Oh, so, you've talked about this, peacocking.
Yeah. You brought it up that episode.
So I brought it up to her. I'm like, hey, I don't appreciate it. These are my boundaries. You know me already how I am. Like, but she, instead of her acknowledging, yo, I'm sorry, like whatever, she turned it into an argument. And that to me was a huge red flag, because that makes me feel like now I'm an authority over you. And I don't want that. Like, I don't ever want to like tell you on something that's common. And that to me was like, okay, you've acknowledged what this is and you put your ego before what you want. So I had told her, I'm like, okay, these are my boundaries. You could do whatever you want, but I'm going to set my boundaries in a way where now I have to leave. Now you either grow from it and hopefully if we come back, cool, or you grow from it and another guy, will take the benefit. But I just told her, I'm like, I don't agree with this. Like, you could do whatever you want if you're single, but when you're with me, like, I don't like that. And the line was drawn and I had to part ways. Now, of course, she tries to communicate with me, but once again, it's just acknowledgement. Like, if you don't acknowledge it, like, rather than saying, okay, we fought, but I'm like, okay, but why did we fight? Like, is it going to be said later on if I forgive you right now and you don't even know why, or like, what's the conversation? Like, there's going to be resentment towards on my end, and I'm not going to do that. So far, like I said, I have boundaries in a way where maybe certain people will like see it where like, whoa, you're too strict, or who are you? Because I've said it to one of my friends. I'm like, oh my God, really? A crop top? And I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm already seeing things. And if I'm going to allow it to happen in the beginning, that's where in 2-3 years, what am I going to do then? I would rather say it now and just step out, And if like she wants to learn from it, cool. If she doesn't, then it's all on her. Yeah.
Can I play devil's advocate for a minute?
I was
from the girl's perspective, right? No, first of all, let me lay down the foundation. I completely respect your boundaries and being communicated. And if you're not comfortable with that, then by all means, definitely separate. But from the woman's perspective, right? Sometimes we just be posting things that look cute. And it has nothing to do with us trying to attract other men as much as it is like we're showing our girls off like, guys, I got abs and I worked hard for these, you know what I mean? Like, and so like in that, if you could respect that that's maybe her perspective, would your mind change at all that maybe it was just her feeling cute that day?
I've known her for a minute to the point where I kind of already understand her habits.
Yeah.
And I understand that girls do like attention regardless if they want to feel cute. I'm like, feel cute, send it to me. I will give you all the praise. I'll give you everything. Yeah. But when you're posting it to the public, and it's not even on a story, it's literally your profile. Like that's where I'm like, nah, I can't. No. Because that now you're now telling the world like, hey, now look at me, and it's not going to go away. And I told her she did change it, but once again, she didn't acknowledge it. And that to me is something like, okay, that's something that you need to work on. Like, I've already set my line. Yeah. So we either move together without an argument, and that's it. But I don't know. That's just me. Yeah. Yeah.
No, and like I said, I respect that. I just, playing the woman's part of like, but wait a minute, hold on. Sometimes I just look really cute and I just want, I like the likes and I like the thumbs up. And that's a very toxic place to be too, because if that's where you get your validation, like there is a brokenness there that needs to be addressed.
It's a real thin line.
Yeah, exactly. Real thin line. For sure. And like I said, I mentioned before, like I'm a words of affirmation person. Just spend time with me, tell me I'm pretty, I'm yours. But I also recognize that about myself, and I recognize that can be a weakness even on social media, because there's been times I make fasting social media a regular practice in my life because there have been times where I'm constantly looking who liked it. And I'm not looking for men. I'm just looking for in general, what's the number look like? And that's a problem, and that's a broken place. And so if that's something that she's struggling with, then absolutely that's not someone you want to be with. But then again, like there's that moment where it's just like, I immediately just went to, but what if she just felt cute today? You know what I mean? And again, I totally, you know her way better. And like I'm just thinking in general kind of.
If I would have known her in that way, then maybe I'm like, okay, I've seen this happen before. But I've known her for a minute to the point where I'm like, okay, there's something here.
There was something there.
I'm like, okay, you're not taking in place as far as like what I'm giving you right now, and you're looking for something else. And maybe it's subconsciously, you know, because girls do like validation. Girls do like the comments and likes, and they just like attention.
Yeah.
And maybe she wasn't trying to do anything negative at the sense it's like in her head, but I'm like, I know what the world is.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be a part of that. Like, if you want to associate with that, go for it. Do your thing, but don't do it with me.
Yeah. And that's respectable. That's the best answer you can have in a relationship is ultimately that. Here are my boundaries. Here's what I'm comfortable with. And if you're not in agreement with that, that's totally fine. Full respect. Then it's just a clear indication that we can't be together.
Yeah.
And that's a really healthy place to be in.
Yeah, and I did tell her, I'm like, you're a great girl. Like, I don't want to hold any type of resentment towards you. And, you know, like if things work out later on, then cool. But right now I feel like there's still a little bit maturing. I do date younger. That's the thing too. She is now 26 and I'm 37. You know, so my mentality and maturity is a little bit different than hers.
Yeah.
And I will forgive the idea that she is young, but once again, she is an adult as well. So
yeah, understandable. Respect.
Foundation set in stone.
So many things.
Yeah.
Look, Ramsey, you want me to come on the podcast and just argue with y'all?
Yeah.
I'm good at that.
yeah.
She's excellent.
Dang. But that's
Thank you
the
to all of our.
I'll give you the next cheese man, the next girl.
Oh, all right.
They're coming in. Comments.
All right.
Who wants to take me to In-N-Out?
All right. So I hope you guys have it. We're here delivering what the people want to hear. All right. Thank you guys. So as I asked you guys to do, to leave a tip for our listeners for the week. So we're going to get those tips. We're going to start with Ramsey.
A tip as in
$1?
like
20%.
tip in general.
Tip in general. It can be about
anything.
the topic. At this point, you guys have kind of blown off the hinges. So
All right. Since this is like your style, this is your platform, you know, in Divine Dating. So it's about relationships. I'm gonna speak to the guys. Pursue, but do not chase. That's my quote for you guys. Maybe even women too, because 2025, you know, it's getting
women
crazy.
are crazy out here. I'm still trying to wrap my head around buying a ring for a dude like to propose.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Buy me a
Probably
ring.
because they're chasing. You
Yeah.
know? So pursue, but do not chase. Yeah. The person or relationship or, you know, like that.
I like it.
Good.
It's a good tip.
Yeah.
It is.
I agree with the tip. I'm going to go more business-wise. It's a quote from, I think, Thomas Edison. It says, opportunity is missed by most because it's dressed in overalls and it looks like work.
Oof.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. That could actually be applied in every realm, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else you would like to add, my beautiful Shakay?
I think we're good. You know I can pop off, so I think
Oh,
we should
for
just
real.
close this out.
Papa.
You know what? Let me be
sis.
devil's advocate
So
one more time.
those tips. Let's talk
Yeah.
about those tips, guys.
All right.
Let's
In-N-Out.
close this.
I'm going to head out. They're going to stay here.
Let's go to In-N-Out.
Right? Okay. Back to the topic at hand. Thank you guys for being here today. It's been great. No, but really, it's been great. Thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in. We hope that this was everything that you didn't know you wanted, and that it was just an awesome experience. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Show.
Nice.
I don't even know what we talked about.
I don't know.